Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for a bit of a play today with a little project that, you know, is one of those unfinished projects really that was laying around on my desk. So I had made one of those beautiful collage masterboards with the whole book pages, and I had then, what do you call this? Gessoed, that's the word. Gessoed over the entire thing with this beautiful heavy black gesso, which I just absolutely love, 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 love. Of course, I've hoarded it for a little while and I finally came to using it. And I thought what I'd do is kind of cut it into a cover. So I've done that, and then I've, you know, covered the inside with some, you know, background pages. So this is just from my vintage tanner's kit. I mean, I love using the blacks and things, so it was right up my street. And then what I thought that I would do, I mean, obviously it's kind of taken on the appearance of a folio. So I gathered up some papers and what have you. So this is my vintage tanner's paper that's on the outside, and I've just literally backed it onto some scrapbook paper, which I've had for a long time. But again, colour-wise, it just tones absolutely perfectly with this whole project, really, doesn't it? I mean, those papers just all go perfectly together. And so I just found, I mean, it's a very, 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 very basic junk journal. I've included things like some greaseproof paper, some vellum, you know, sheet music, some vintage book page. You know, you've got lots of different things there to, you know, create a bit of interest. And I mean, even on the side, you can see, I mean, the centre pages are kind of overhanging and things. It's, you know, it's very, very basic. But I have bound it, obviously, you know, with some seam binding, you know, the embroidery thread. And I thought that I will probably just have it held into here with elastic. So what I would like to do really is, before I actually kind of put the journal in, is just kind of make some flaps and tucks and, you know, what have you on the, you know, the folio piece itself, but hopefully using some genuine vintage pieces. So I've got these pieces here. Oops, these were from like a vintage postcard book, you know, when you get those little postcard books. So I've obviously got different styles here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, obviously, you know, what any of this says. It's in French, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what any of it's saying, but, you know, I thought that I could just make some pockets and things like that with maybe some of these images. I'm not so sure. Now I've pulled it over, I'm not so sure. I've got to be honest about these brown ones. Not sure. So I'll just put those to one side. I've got some vintage photos, and then I've got some vintage images here from like a, you know, vintage book, which again we could either tuck in as kind of extra pieces to pull out, or we could make pieces from them, you know, however we fancy really. I've got some vintage book page here, so I thought we could again make some tucks or, you know, pocket pieces with that. And then I've got some stamped book page. Now this is just left over from some other projects that I have done, but I thought, again, you know, colour wise these are really, really good. So, you know, rather than waste them and, you know, then not actually use them, I may be able to actually use them in here. So we're just going to sort of have a play around and see what evolves. And the other thing that I've got actually is I've just got a little strip, or, you know, a longish strip actually, that's left from that collage masterboard itself. So again, we might incorporate that somewhere as well. We'll just kind of see how we, you know, how we get along and, you know, what we manage to achieve in the time, obviously. But yeah, I thought that we would come along and just have a bit of a play and hopefully, you know, incorporate lots of just pieces that have been left over and, you know, laying around on the desk and what have you. And yeah, try and kind of see what evolves really from this. So I'm going to pull in some envelopes. I've just got this one here. Let me just reach out for a couple more. Okay, I've got this one here, which actually, oh, none of them are big enough, so that's a bit of a shame. Didn't realise that I'd made it quite so big, this folio. It is, yeah, it is, you know, bigger than I'd expected, obviously. Okay, so maybe we will rethink that. Let's just have a look. Might struggle to do some of these bits, you know, that I'd planned actually, because yeah, this is kind of bigger than I'd expected. Oh, it's so annoying when you know, I hadn't factored that in, to be perfectly honest, and you know, totally my fault. I should have factored it in, and yeah, I just didn't really give it any thought of how big I'd actually made this. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. We can just have our flaps and things, you know, a bit smaller. It's just that I was going to actually glue them in as pockets. But yeah, I mean, that's fine. I can have them as flaps instead. So let's do that. Let me grab a couple more envelopes. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do first, let's move this out the way. I'm just going to reinforce these envelope pieces, so that when they're, you know, being used in here, they're not sort of really flimsy and things. So I'm just going to use some papers here, some decorative papers. So please excuse the inside of this. Obviously it's where I have, you know, used it to print multiple things. So I'm not going to worry too much, you know, where the pattern or anything like that is. We just want to, you know, get it kind of on there really. Oops. Okay. And I'm just doing my quick, super quick method, not bothering cutting it or anything. We will just tear. Sometimes it's just easier to just tear it down, isn't it? Oops, I think I've made it too long still, so let me just cut that down slightly more. Okay. That in there. Okay, so I'm going to glue that on there. I might as well do them all at once to try and, you know, be a bit efficient. So again, let's just fold that up. Just get rid of this. You know, I'm just reinforcing this because, of course, you know, if this is going to be folding quite often, we want to make sure it's going to be, you know, robust and able to handle being folded a lot or often, you know. So like that. Let's could still do with trimming that down, and yes, I thought I'd done that smaller anyway, but no, not small enough apparently. Okay. Oops. Yep, that's looking good in there. And then let me just see. So, I mean, I'm just using, I happen to have a lot of this left over from something else that I have been working on previously. So, you know, this is really great to be able to get it, you know, get it off of my desk as well. So, you know, it's always good when you can use some scraps up, isn't it? To be honest. So, let's have a look. I'm just going to neaten this up here. Actually, I'll just cut it down here would be probably the easiest way to do this. Okay. Just put that in there. Make sure this is the right size. Yep, looking good. Right, okay, so let's glue these into the envelope flaps as our first job. So just concentrate on putting quite a bit of glue down that fold, and then of course on the edge there. Okay. And we will just put this one in here like that. Just slide that in. Oops. Okay, looking good there. Oops. It's not looking that good actually, it's pretty wonky. Gone in there, not very straight. And I mean, of course, obviously because it's got lines, it's very obvious when it's not very straight. So yeah. Okay, let's just spread that glue. Just turn it over and spread the glue here. I mean, I'm not too worried about the other side, to be honest, if it looks very messy, because, you know, the chances are we're going to obviously tidy this up and clean it up anyway. You're not really going to see a great deal of this. Oops. Move that to one side. Let's do the next one. Oops, I should have topped my glue up before coming on to do the video. I do apologise. See how I get on. I might have to stop the video and, you know, top it up. But we'll see how we get on. Because, yeah, I mean, this is probably going to be quite a glue-hungry project, to be honest. So, just again, slide that into there. Okay. Oops. Try and get it a little bit straighter. Oh, gosh. Even as I say it, I'm making it completely crooked. I mean, what's that about? No sooner do I say it than I've actually done the complete opposite. So, okay. And then just again spread that glue out at the back. And obviously I'm going to trim these bits off in a minute. And then we've got the final one. Okay, oops. And then again, just, you know, focusing on that fold and then on the edge there. Okie dokie, right. Let's thread this in. Oh my goodness me. Okay, right. Okay, looking good. So, yeah, let's just spread that. Sorry about the shaking on the table. And I've said this loads of times, but my desk is, you know, it's a pretty old desk and yeah, it's very rickety, I'm afraid. So I do apologise. Okay, right. So they are done. I'm just going to see whether I want any other envelopes. I've got some other sort of alternative shapes and things like that here. So, you know, sometimes it's nice to kind of mix it up, isn't it? And have some different bits and pieces going on. I've got one of these. I don't think these really need reinforcing. These are quite thick, sturdy envelopes, actually. So then I've got this one. I'm going to just cut that flap down because it doesn't need to be as big as that. Okay. I did hang on to those scraps, but yeah, I mean, they're not really going to be big enough. Oh, that's such a shame, isn't it? Because look, it just kind of tucks in there, but if I want it actually reinforcing it, which was the whole purpose, it's going to not be big enough, so that's a bit of a shame. Right, so I might be able to use a little bit of these papers that I said about, so let's see. Yeah, shall we do that? Let's do that. So I'm just going to cut this down here first. Okay, and then let's take the sides in. So as we make it, you know, so as it's going to actually slide into the envelope. Okay. Oh my goodness, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, just trim that down. And this way. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to glue that piece in like that. So again, just then, you know, going over where that fold is and whoops, around the flap. Okay. Yeah, I mean, really, this is just going to be a, you know, super kind of like eclectic mix of papers and, you know, things like that, really. Patterns and what have you. I mean, just hopefully kind of resulting in something that's really scrumptious. I mean, it's going to be a folio. You know, it is going to be a folio of sorts. But obviously, yeah, it's going to have that kind of clipped in journal as well. So, I mean, hopefully it's just going to make something, you know, super scrumptious to feel and to look at. And I haven't really kind of got much of a plan in my mind as to what we're going to actually be doing with it, to be honest. But, you know, hopefully it's just going to, yeah, turn out looking really nice. Okay, again, just trim that down. Right, what have we got? Not much pattern going on that piece, was there? Yeah. Okay, so these are my 3 bits that I have left. You know, I'm thinking use this one with this kind of harlequin pattern. I love this harlequin stencil. It's lovely, isn't it? And you can probably see it's been stenciled on here completely like wonky. So thinking, you know, if I cut it on the wonky edge like that, hopefully it might be able to straighten out when I slide it in. That's the plan anyway. Who knows? And like all these things, sometimes you just don't know until you actually come to do it. Oops. Oh, why is this not sliding in? Okay. Yep. So I can then obviously straighten that out, and we won't know, or no one will ever know that it was once stenciled completely lopsided onto that piece of paper. So, and then just again focusing on the fold and then on the edge of the flap. Okay, looking good. And then we just go in here like that. Whoa. Try and straighten that up as I go. Not making a very good job of it, it's got to be said. Okay. Right, so let's trim those down, trim off the, you know, the excess bits of paper, and then we'll see how we're going to kind of form a something, yeah, something nice anyway. Right, that one doesn't need trimming, that one doesn't, so it's just these ones here. So let's trim around here. Oops. Okay, there's one. Next one. Like that. Okay. And then the next one. Oh dear. Oh gosh, I'm going like really wonky with these. Okay. Yeah, just terrible cutting today, I'm afraid. So I'll just put that out there so that you know, so that everybody's aware. Okay, right. That's those. So let's pull that folio back in, and we'll just kind of see where we might put some things about. Bearing in mind that we're going to have that journal, aren't we, kind of tucked in here. I mean, it doesn't matter, to be honest. It could go, you know, it could go either side. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's fold our first flap down. Okay. Like that. I mean, we could even have it on this way, but actually no, I think I'm going to do it this way. And then let's just fold this one down. I'm wondering if we want to have them kind of going in opposite ways to each other. So let's have a look. If we do this one this way, so they would be like that. Yeah. Yeah, like that, I think. As opposed to, you know, like this. They would be like both going the same way, although to be honest, that probably is more logical, isn't it? Okay, let me just see what it would be like if I then have a different shape envelope as well. Like sort of creating another page, I suppose, really. Yeah, I quite like that. Okay, let's just see these little ones now. So again, just fold them over at the flap. Oops. these ones, I can't really see where the original flap was, unfortunately. Kind of got lost in amongst the coffee dyeing process and the gluing of the book page. I now can't really see where the original fold was. Oops. And glue's still coming out, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, just wondering whether I could have this tucked in. Well, I could maybe tuck it in like that. So as we've got sort of a bunch of different envelope pieces. Yeah, I quite like that, I think. That would be there. Yep, okay. Right, let's just go for that first of all. So what I'm going to do, I think, is actually glue. Right, so I'm going to glue the big one down first. I think is probably best. I mean, because I was wondering whether I could actually just stitch all of these and make them like a signature and stitch them in. But then I'm going to have these silly little flaps kind of flapping about, which, you know, that's not really ideal, is it? So, yeah, I'm going to get rid of those. So this one, I'm just going to cut this flap down just because it would then be less to cover up, you know, because the chances are we're going to want to cover it up. So the smaller it is, you know, the less work that's going to be. So, yeah, let's just glue this one in. Okay. So trying to kind of butt it up against the fold, ideally. So like that. Okay. And just glue that down. Yeah. Okay, so that's, yeah, that's working well. So that's that one. And then we're going to glue this one on the top of there. So again, just going to glue down this flap here. Okay. Just going to glue that down like on top of the other flap, if you see what I mean. You know, again, not going to get too overly bogged down with, you know, how high it is. Is it kind of like directly in the middle, or, you know, any of that stuff. I'm just going to just, yeah, go for it and get it stuck in. So, oops, possibly want to move that over slightly, so that the folds are sort of lined up a bit like that. Okay. Yep, like how that looks so far. Then I'm going to have this little envelope flap, which actually, just checking here whether I might prefer this, like flapping out. Sorry about that car alarm, if you can hear that. Do you know, I'm going to put this in here because I have got that other envelope piece, which I could always, you know, have that kind of flapping out from that other flap, because I thought that was, you know, was quite fun to have that flapping out. So yeah, I might do that, but I'm just going to first stick this one here, I think. Okay, squish that in like that, and again, just kind of making sure that it's, you know, that everything will still fold, because obviously if you fold, you know, glue it in too far over, you may be across the fold, and then things aren't going to fold. If that makes sense. We had a lot of fold words there, didn't we? Okay, dab that glue out. Yeah, liking how that looks. And then the final one we are going to have here. So again, let's just glue this one down. So although that's kind of creating a lot of bulk, I mean, obviously because this is a folio, it's, you know, it shouldn't be a problem, to be honest. You know, it's, yeah, it would be possibly a problem if it were a journal, you know, because you'd have then a lot of, you know, bulky bits really. But because this is a folio, it really shouldn't kind of matter too much, to be honest. Okay. that down like that. Okay, right. Fold that over. Make sure everything's pressed down well. Because obviously I've got, you know, all them layers to get the glue through, if that makes sense. So, right, okay, we've got that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So they're all working pretty well now. Keep that, you know, press that glue in. I mean, to be honest, you could have done hot glue here because that would have obviously been, you know, more instant. But yeah, I mean, I didn't, but maybe that would have been not a bad idea. Okay, let's just fold this one down. Just wondering, I think it would be better this way. Only because, obviously, otherwise sometimes it can be, you know, in the way. I mean, you could always paperclip it down, I guess. So, yeah, it wouldn't really be a problem, I suppose. But, yeah, it might just be better going in this way, I think. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to, yeah, glue this one down here. Wow, we've just got like a whole bunch of envelopes going on here, haven't we? But, you know, that's fun, isn't it? It's giving the, you know, the piece some interest, which is nice. Okay, right. Okay. Oh, lots of glue there. Okay. Wipe that excess glue down. Check that that's still, you know, tucking in nicely, which it is. Okay, because you don't really want it hanging, you know, hanging over too far over, if you see what I mean. Okay, so that's looking good. Now, this side, obviously, I'm going to be having that journal kind of, you know, tied in with elastic. So, you know, I've got this envelope now. Let's just fold that flat down. Oops. Not doing a very good job of this, am I? Okay. So I'm just trying to think that, you know, once that journal is in there, is this going to be in the way? It could be. It definitely could be. So I'm thinking actually this might be better over here. And then I'm thinking perhaps we could have some sort of belly band or something running down here like a pocket underneath. Yeah, I think that would definitely be better. So again, I'm just going to glue this down by the flap. Like that. Whoa. Okay, so we're going to, yeah, glue this in here on the inside of like the front cover. Because the other thing is, I love how this butterfly looks in the centre. So I kind of don't really want to cover that up now. You know, I think it's a really nice, it's not really a centrepiece, but you know, when you then take the journal out, this is going to be visible, which I think is really nice. So, you know, if at all possible, I'd quite like to keep that, I think, showing. Okay, right, we've got the envelope stuck down on there. Okay, we've got loads of envelopes stuck down on here. So it's all looking quite good now. Okay, right, so I've also got some vintage sheet music, and I've also got some vintage catalogue. So I'm thinking, pulling the vintage catalogue, this is obviously a much bigger page than, you know, than my smaller book pages. So we could definitely make some, you know, pockets from this, which are then going to be a much better fit to have into the folio. Yeah, I quite like that. And again, you know, just trying to combine all the different papers and looks, you know, because that's going to create lots of interest when you then flick through the folio. So yeah, let's just have this. I obviously need to trim this down, so I'm just going to kind of, let's just try and guess roughly where we have to trim it down, because, you know, I don't want to be measuring. It doesn't need to be perfect. It can, you know, it can just be roughly okay. Okie dokie. Yeah, so that looks quite good, doesn't it? Okay, so yeah, loving how that looks. So I'm just going to pop this out the way, and I'm just going to glue this down. And then what I could do is actually stitch around this as well. You know, A, because it will look nice, and B, because, you know, it's another little bit of decorative detail, really. So those, you know, these patterned book pages that I had stenciled on, I'm kind of thinking maybe I could make pockets and things for inside the journal, as they're going to be a little bit on the small side for the folio itself. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep those for that instead. Okay, let's pull this back in again. And then, you know, if I take this across to the sewing machine to do the stitching, I'm just checking to see whether do I want some more of these, because, you know, more is more after all. So yeah, I'm going to have one there. I think probably I want one here, because definitely, you know, I want to cover up all what's going on here with all of these flaps glued down. And do we also want, you know, something else for in this middle bit? So let's just pull in that catalogue again. Okay, probably let's have this side. Okay, and again, just going to trim that down slightly. Okay, that one, and a bit here. Okay, so that one would fit, yeah, on there. Loving how that looks. And then, do we want one here as well? Yeah, this is an old Harrods catalogue. I had first seen this on Chrissy Crosser on her channel. She uses her Harrods catalogue a lot. You know, she really uses it very often. And yeah, as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, I love that. I'd like to get one of those. So yeah, I think I got mine from Amazon. I've had it for a long time, I have to say. Again, I've kind of hoarded it. Yeah, wanted it for all that time, and then just can't bring myself to use it. But yeah, I'm thinking it's high time I do use it. And obviously, as you know, this year I'm on a mission to not be hoarding things. So I'm actually putting it to good use now. You know, and not before time, is it, really, quite honestly? So okay, right, so we've got that one like that. Now I'm just wondering, do I want to kind of layer this up and have multiple pieces? So I've also got, this is my vintage ads book, some page from, oh no, you know, I'm sure you can all guess, but yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to, there's no way I'm going to be able to be using that, because wow, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? What was I just saying about hoarding? Being on a mission to not be hoarding this year? The very next piece that I opened was just a total no-go, wasn't it? So I've got this, which I could make, so I have then a double pocket going on here. That's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah, I think I quite like that. So I'm just going to chop this down like here. Okay, right. Let's chop that down. Okie dokie, right. Just checking whether this needs a bit of reinforcement, because of course this is just that book page. So, you know, it's a little bit flimsy in places. Just going to glue this down, because obviously it's not glued down there. Okay. And yeah. Okay, love how that looks. So yeah, I think what I'll do, I'm going to take my bits to the sewing machine. So this one, and obviously the other two, and stitch around them. So I will probably stitch there like that, and then around the whole thing here. Oh, I didn't really decide whether that needed reinforcing or not, to be honest. I mean, it probably is okay, depending, I think, what side I use. Probably is okay, but to be honest, you know, why risk it? So yeah, what I'll probably do is just glue some more book page to the back of this, just so it's definitely strong enough. You know, because there's no point making something that looks pretty and then the first time you come to use it, it's, you know, tearing. So yeah, I'm just going to pull in a bit of book page and, you know, I'm going to glue that on to reinforce the thickness of that. I'm going to glue these pieces together like that, and then just stitch around them, and this one as well. So yeah, I'm just popping those into my lap. Let's just fold the folio up and move it out of the way. So the first thing, obviously, I'm just going to reinforce this. Just some glue straight on there, like that. Okay. Yeah, sometimes I just really, really, really love doing something like really eclectic and, you know, like with no particular plan, no particular direction, and actually just no particular even, you know, finished product really, I suppose, in sight, you know, or in my mind, you know, because then you can just let it evolve as it wishes, really. So that's kind of where I'm at really with this. I'm just going to see where it takes us and, you know, what becomes of our creation. So, yeah. Okay. Let's just mop the table again. Okay, right. Like that. Okay, I'm going to obviously trim this down, but yeah, I'm going to stitch around there with some black thread. And then I just want to glue these ones down before... well, I say that. I mean, I could just do them, I guess, without stitching them, really. Without gluing them. Should we do that? Yeah, let's just do that. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I am back from the sewing machine, and these are my bits here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to glue them in. So we've got this here, and that was where I was going to put this one like that. So obviously I've just got these little bits here where, you know, I just tore it out of the book. I mean, they don't really worry me, to be honest. I think that's kind of nice, but yeah, I'm just going to tidy it up a bit because I realise, you know, it's probably not everybody's cup of tea to have all those little bits, but yeah, as I say, I quite like it. So yeah, I'm going to glue this in here like that. Now I can obviously have flaps and things coming out from here, and I might add those, you know, later. But at this point, I'm just going to literally glue the pieces in without flaps. So yeah, let's do that. Now I'm just wondering, do I want to go with hot glue or wet glue? I think wet glue really is probably superior in its, you know, stickability, or, you know, longevity, I guess. Well, to be fair, I mean, I've never really had any problems with hot glue. I did have one batch that I'd ordered some hot glue that wasn't particularly great. That was mainly where fabric was concerned. But I mean, on the whole, I actually, you know, always, you know, think hot glue is fantastic. I mean, obviously, you know, you can pull things off if they're glued with hot glue, but I mean, to be honest, you can with anything. You know, so I mean, why would you pull something off? I mean, unless you've decided you don't like it there. I mean, in which case, then that's a bonus, isn't it? But yeah, you know, the actual stickability of hot glue I find pretty good. You know, but it's just kind of personal preference, really, as to what, you know, what you choose to use, really. Okay, so that's pocket number 1 with the envelope here. Then this pocket here that's going to go in the middle, what I've done, I just stitched along the edge of the, you know, this patterned piece, stitched along the edge of this, book page piece. And then basically what I'm going to do is glue the whole thing down. Now, I don't think this is going to matter. Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter. So it's been stitched around the edge, but these pieces are loose, if you see what I mean. And really what that's enabling us to do is, you know, have a kind of bigger pocket. Sorry, I went to the wrong pocket. A bigger pocket here. If we stitched this, no, sorry, a bigger pocket at the front. I was right. If we stitched this kind of to here, this pocket would not be very deep. So, you know, by keeping them both free, it's giving us the maximum size pockets really out of those pieces. That sounded just like waffle even to my own ears. So yeah, I do apologise. I hope it made a little bit more sense to you guys than it did to me as I was even saying it. So yeah, all I'm actually going to do is glue it around those three sides and leave that centre part loose, if that makes sense. So like that. Okay. And then we will glue this one here like that. Right, okay, so looking good. And again, just press that down. I mean, the other thing, of course, with hot glue is then you don't have to keep on pressing it in and making sure it's glued. You know, it is glued. And, you know, that's a massive, massive bonus for using the hot glue as opposed to a wet glue. You know, because the wet glue is a bit slower drying. I'm not saying it's slow drying, but it's slower. Which, of course, then, you know, this all slows you down when you're actually making things, doesn't it? If you're having to keep pressing it down or weighting it down with things, you know, you want to kind of glue it down and know it's glued. So, yeah, the hot glue, you know, works wonders when you're trying to do things a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to go back to this, just making sure that this is glued down there. Okay. And then this one, we're just going to open that out. And again, this is just going to glue, covering up these flaps. Now, something just to be aware of is when you glue this down as a pocket, the chances are when you put things into this pocket, they're going to get caught on here, if that makes sense. So for instance, if I was threading this in, this would be here. When I put it in, it might only go in so far because what's happened, it's hit this, if that makes sense. So again, I mean, that doesn't worry me, but I think it's just something, you know, just to be aware of really. So let's just glue this one down. Okay. Right. Okay, so again, just kind of taking these folds up so as I can push it in as close to those folds as I can, but without compromising the folds, if that makes sense. Because, you know, I want to get it nice and close to them. I don't want it kind of out in midair, if that makes sense. But I don't want it, you know, I want them to still fold comfortably. I don't want them compromised because this is too far into that fold. So, yeah. And again, just really press that down. It's got lots of threads there. Okay. And I'm just going to cut those threads off. I've got a thread here. Okay. Okay, let's just press that down like that. Okay, so this is the basis of our little folio piece, like that. And obviously we've then got that, you know, I mean, really basic journal here, which is just going to, you know, elastically thread in like that. So, I mean, you know, by the time you've got all your bits of ephemera and, you know, of course, we're going to add some lace and things like that, it's going to be like, you know, super squishy and, you know, super sort of tactile piece, really. So, yeah, I hope that you like our, you know, our folio, how it's coming along so far. I don't know whether I would do this project on video or whether I would do it in slower time. It really kind of just depends on, you know, how much time I've got really to do it, because I've got a few other sort of projects and videos and things that are, you know, midway through. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of see how I get on really. But if I don't end up finishing this with you guys, then of course I will be back, you know, with a flip through. So you will definitely see it again. But it, you know, just depends whether I'll actually work on it again with you guys or not. So yeah, I hope that you like the folio and the journal as it's coming along so far. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Thanks then. Bye.